Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS to give us his truth and all his purity. And salutations to all you accomplishing this word throughout the four corners of the earth. This lesson will be concerning the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip slash, brain chip, or whatever, man. They got it, people that put it in different parts of their body. So wherever you put it or however you want to identify it, this device is the mark of the beast. And prophecy reigns supreme, which is why everything we see happening is leading towards that. The collapse of the economy, the terrorism, the need to basically keep things tight and give the state, the government, total control over people's lives, right? Under the guise of freedom, and safety, because that's how Esau is bringing this thing, as if it's for your safety, and it comes with different benefits, such as it allowing you to access the internet in your mind, play music in your mind, browse the internet in your mind, connect to other people, via just via thought, unlock different devices, right? That's the miracles that the scriptures speak about Esau will be doing in the last days. So, I typed in on Google Apple brain implant because I seen, different brothers, the Apostle Tahar, did lessons on this topic about the news that Apple pretty much is working towards a new brain chip. And as you can see, it says exclusive Apple to support brain implant control of its devices. And then it says right here on Fortune, it says Apple probes next frontier with new brain implant standard. But what it really needs is to sell more iPhones, right? So here it is. They're losing money, because of, these tariffs, the inflation. People don't got money to be spending, to just be buying new iPhones every year, right? Every year they got a new iPhone. Well, guess what? People don't got it like that, man. Hey, man, the iPhone I got is it's not that old, but, it's not the new version, right? Because what they do is, at the stores, they always get the new batches. So right now, if you wanted to get let's say iPhone 10, 11, I don't even think they got it at the stores. You would have to probably order it off Apple or order it online, to be dropped off at that store, right? Because, they always got something new, which is ultimately to lead you to the MOTB. You got Siri on your phone, you got facial recognition. They already got everything, your whole database. They got access to the pictures on your phone, the different things you access, right? Right now they got a lawsuit against them because they've been caught where Siri listens to your conversation and basically sells that data, to where you could be talking about something, then you browse the internet and they got an advertisement geared specifically towards what you were speaking about, right? So, hey, man, this is all an agenda to lead you to the MOTB. And it says coming soon to Apple devices, brain control accessibility features. And just like with, the times, how everything goes forward, people always want the new thing, the new trend. That's what's going to happen, right? If you got let's say iPhone, I don't know, iPhone 8, iPhone 7 today, a lot of people will look at you crazy, like you outdated. So this is what's going to be the new norm with this RFID chip, right? The Internet of Bodies, biometrics. It says Apple may be testing Elon Musk Neuralink-like technology to allow users to control their phones. You see, so they always gonna make it seem like, it's the next thing, they got to invest in it. They got to keep up with other companies, the competition, to give you that illusion of choice, to make it seem like they're not working with each other. But the reality is that they all working for the interests of the elites. What the elites do is they'll get a guy, and they'll fund him, they'll either, groom him up to, develop the company. So they'll tell them, yo, listen, you start this up, we're going to give you funding for it. Or they come with the company prepped up, and then the elites come in and come with that provision for them, But a lot of them, they're plants. But the ultimate goal, ultimately, is, for the elites to diversify their investment towards this technology into the world. It may look like, oh, just Apple, oh, it's just Elon Musk, but it's all connected, right? It's all connected. Elon Musk, he deals with Tesla, right? He's known for that. Apple, they're known for their products, but guess what? They're both investing in their technology, right? Their brain implant technology, you know? You're going to have Microsoft next, just like how they all pretty much invested in AI and OpenAI, ChatGPT, and they got their own versions of AI now. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a battle for the chips, and they're going to have some with more features than others, right? They're going to say, yo, listen, they might say, oh yeah, these type of chips can get hacked, but if you get a chip backed by Apple, then it can't get hacked. Because one thing about Apple is, the iOS system is hard to hack into. So your stuff, your data is more safe. So they could come with their own chip and say, yo, listen, y'all don't even got to worry about people hacking in your minds or none of that, right? And people going to feel safer with going towards them, It says you can now control Apple devices with a brain implant. So it's all over the news, man. I wonder what these guys are going to say now, right? Because every week, IUIC's doctrine keep switching up, At one time, the mark of the beast was the image of Caesar Borgia. At one point, they said it was an embargo. At one point, they said, what else? It's your power. The right hand represents your power. The forehead. Matter of fact, we're gonna go to it. The forehead represents your thought. All these different, gimmicks, man. All these, different. That's what I'm looking for. They always got a different answer to explain it away. To try to deny what it actually is, man. Doing all this mental gymnastics. When you truly deep down inside, they see it, but their pride wouldn't allow it to accept it. So this is Revelation chapter 13. And I'm going to go to I'm going to start at 11. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, which that beast is going into the empire of Rome. That whole system, that infrastructure, right? Which is what America and NATO and the EU is all modeled after their forefathers, right? So it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. The two horns represent the two political systems, which is the Democrats and the Republicans, and it goes back to the two systems, the plebeians and the patricians, right? One is for the people, and the other one is more for the elites, right? Two horns like a lamb. Yeah, because they're coming in as if they're for you, right? They're coming in all meek. Oh, yeah, we got to, like Trump, he cursed out Biden, talking about how Biden destroyed the economy. You're going to bring back jobs to America. We're going to be richer. We're going to keep winning so much. You're going to get tired of winning, right? So like a lamb, they sound good. But it says, and he spake as a dragon. Now you've seen Trump's, real horns, speaking as a dragon with these different policies, these different executive orders. You got Latinos voted for Trump. Now he deporting their asses, right? He's destroying the economy. He's not bringing back jobs. He's firing people. He's destroying small businesses. He's passing legislations to allow him to deport American citizens to prisons overseas, like Libya and Afghanistan, right? That's him speaking as a dragon. Him passing executive order for martial law within 90 days, for military personnel and the National Guard to go in local police precincts and system, to take out criminals, right? That's him speaking as a dragon. It says, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And that first beast is speaking about Rome. At one point, Rome had a deadly wound, which happened, after their fall, when they fell, right? The fall of the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, right? And the eastern side stood still, and the eastern side was comprised mostly of Israelites, so-called blacks from the southern kingdom of Israel, right? They ruled the Eastern Roman Empire during the Byzantine Empire, you know? Byzantine means backwards. So that's Esau, basically saying that it was backward from his original way, his Roman, empire, the different customs that they kept, right? Jake basically came and did their own thing, So that was that deadly wound. It says the deadly wound was healed. So when did the deadly wound become healed? Is during the Renaissance, which means rebirth in French, because they had that deadly wound, and after that 1,000 years, it was healed, and then they came back up in power, took us out of power in Europe, and went all over the earth, sowing mischief, pushing forth white supremacy, pushing forth manifest destiny, which pretty much means prophecy fulfilled, because he knows who he is in the Bible, that he's an Edomite, and his blessing would be to gain the earth by the way of the sword. And that's what he did, right? The deadly wound was healed. He came back, right? And this is not speaking about in the kingdom, like Nate is saying, how in the kingdom after 1,000 years, the Russians are going to come back in power and take us out of rulership. That's madness, man, right? It says, and he doeth great wonders so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth and the sight of men. And that's what the so-called white man has done. He dropped bombs from the sky. He has missiles that drop from the sky, right? Fire come down from heaven in the sight of men. He did that with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? And even before that, World War One, they had the bombs dropping from planes, but that really became fulfilled when he did Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? It says, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Yeah, those miracles is going into, his technology, right? And technology is a miracle, man. This isn't stuff that thousands of years people would even think would ever be possible, right? The scriptures tell you in the last days, knowledge shall be increased. If you take the knowledge that we have here today, like these smartphones, these different devices, if you took that to ancient times, they'll look at you like you a sorcerer. This is witchcraft, right? Which, a lot of it is because Esau, the left hand, they get their technology, their knowledge from demons. And the word demon goes back to intelligence. So the demons bless Esau with the technology to create all these things, ultimately to, have that chip, right? To lead towards that, right? So let's see miracles, what it means. And the Greek is semeion, sound like Simeon. And it says under the indication, especially ceremonially or supernaturally, miracle, sign, token, wonder. It says a sign, mark, token, that which a person or a thing is distinguished from others and is known. So Esau is distinguished from the other nations and known for his wisdom, right? It tells you about that in Ezekiel 28, about, how Esau, through his great wisdom, he has gotten him much riches, and by his traffic, right? His trade, So this is, Esau became very wise. All this money they got, they spent it towards, new technology, right? Science and all of that, So it distinguished them from the other nations, right? Because nobody is on the level that Esau is on. It says a sign, prodigy, portent, unusual occurrence. That was unusual occurrence. Nobody had never seen that before. Only time it was seen was during Sodom and Gomorrah, where the Most High rained fire and brimstone on those 5 cities. And I can't name them off top, but I know it's Sodom, Gomorrah, Zeboim, and the last 2, I forgot the last 2. But the Lord rained fire on them, which was the same technology that Esau basically uses. The Lord used the nuclear technology back then on those cities, and to this day, the so-called white man, found those cities, and they still ashes to this day. Go look up the different, videos, documentaries they got about, Sodom and Gomorrah, the archaeology behind it. They found sulfur all over the place, that if you still take a light and burn it, it'll still burn to this day, right? So it says of signs portending remarkable events soon to happen, right? So, that was a remarkable event, right? It says, matter of fact, I forgot this part where it says the common course of transcending the common course of nature. So everything the so-called white man does is it transcend what others have done in the past. The Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Persians. Nobody had this type of wisdom, man, of miracles and wonders by which God authenticates the men sent by him. Now you got the right hand miracles, which is the true miracles, which is coming straight from the Most High. Yahweh Shai, when he was on the scene, the disciples, the apostles after him, they healed people just by the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And it was instant. Yahweh Shai would heal a man and immediately he would receive strength to walk. Immediately they would receive sight or hearing or whatever disease they was plagued with. Whereas the left hand miracles of the so-called white man is opposite. It may take some time to adjust. Now you got a device in you that's killing you even more because of radiation. People can hack into that device. If that device gets destroyed, then you lose those so-called abilities that you had gained by receiving it. Now they take the chip out your brain. Now you can't think straight. Now you can't walk because that's the connection you needed between your brain and your nervous system, right? So it says, "Oh, by which men prove that the cause they are pleading is God's," right? So now let's finish up. It says, Revelation 13:14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had a wound by a sword and did live. That's right, which is, the image is going into this whole new world order agenda, this great reset, right? And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So if you're not with this agenda that they're bringing, then your judgment, according to them, will be to put you to death, right? Because you're going to be labeled an enemy of the state. You're going to be labeled a domestic terrorist. They're gonna ask you, well, what do you got to hide? Why is it you don't want to get chipped? Everybody's chipped. Why don't you want to get chipped? Maybe you are a terrorist. Maybe you are a cell. Maybe you're an agent of Iran or China or Russia. That's how they gonna spin it. And therefore we got to kill you. So it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, which we already know. Brothers and sisters that have been around, the word mark goes back to the word charagma, G5480, and it says a stamp on a printed mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist, which the Antichrist is going into the so-called white man. The scriptures say there are many Antichrists, so-called, which is anti-Yahushua, anti-Hamashiach, which if you don't believe in what we believe, you're anti-Yahushua. Why? Because the devil has blinded you. The devil being the so-called white man, him having power over the earth, has put a gross darkness over all the people. Now everybody is anti-Yahushua because they're following him. So the ones that follow the so-called white man, they're going to end up in their own demise, man, by taking this chip. It says the mark branded up on horses. Yeah, because if you take that chip, then you're a property of the elites, the bankers, the Amalekites, the J-ish people. It says thing, carved, sculpture, graven work. So this chip pretty much is an idol, right? It's an idol, That reminds me of the story of Daniel and the three holy children, where you had the Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar. He had a golden image of himself, where all nations had to worship it. So it's the same thing. The elites, this is their image. This is their, statue that you have to worship. Because once you take it, you're going to depend on it for the one of all things. Because it's going to, allow you to buy and sell. It's going to restrict you from buying and selling as well. You know, if you have any questions, it's going to be connected to AI where you could just Google it and it'll put, give you the answer that they want you to have. Right. So basically you're owned, and this is your idol. It says of idolatrous images. Right now, the root word is karax, which is G5482. It says to sharpen to a point akin to the idea of scratching. Yeah, because they have to scratch off the surface to get inside you, to get in your hand, or on your forehead, or anywhere in your body. It says a stake, i.e. by implication, a palisade or rampart, which when you look up palisades, rampart, stakes, they're sharp woods, right? Sharp pieces of wood, like a white picket fence. So it's something that you have to plant in, which shows you it's a physical thing. It's not spiritual. The mark is physical, and it is the RFID chip, right? It says a pale or stake or palisade or rampart. So you get the point. It's something physical that has to be implanted in your body. So when it says he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand on their foreheads, that's talking about the chip, right? And everybody's going to be subject to this. That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. That's right. So not having it will not allow you to partake in society. You won't be able to just go to the grocery store with cash or with gold or with anything. It will need to be this, because that will be what the new currency is programmed to. The CBDCs, central bank digital currency, which Trump said that when he comes in power, he's going to block that. Right. And then he did. But now guess what? He's coming with his own, which is called the stable coin. Right. So this devil was set up, to deceive, these Edomites, the so-called white man, the right wingers, as well as, the rest of the world, our people, because a lot of people voted for him. It wasn't just so-called white people, man. But now they starting to regret their votes. It says, here is wisdom, that him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, the so-called white man. And his number is 603 which is the UPC product code, universal product code, right? Which is that barcode that's on every product globally, where you have those bars, where the first bar represents 6, the middle bar represents 6, and the last bar represents 6. So that's 666. Which shows you that you take this chip, you're going to become a product of the elites, right? And yet they're spinning it like it's like it's beneficial, especially to people that have infirmities, That's the miracles, man. But guess what? It's to trap you, because the scriptures say that Satan is transforming himself into an angel of light. And that's what the so-called white man is doing now. It's in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day should not come, except there come a falling away first, and that men of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. That's right. So that day is talking about what? The day of the Lord, right? It's not going to come unless there was a falling away first, which happened already. It took place, starting in 70 AD, where our people became scattered. The Romans destroyed Jerusalem. Eventually we went to Africa and other parts of the earth, and then we went into captivity where we fell away from our heritage. We lost our identity. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the only people on earth who lost their identity under colonialism. Why is that? It was by design, due to the fact that the elites knew that we are the Israelites, and they had to fulfill that prophecy, because they understand that us knowing our power means that we can repent at any time. And the Lord said, if we all repent and pray towards his face, then the Lord will take down our enemies and set us up on high. So this is why this was done. But Yahweh Bashim Shah, threw a monkey wrench in his plan, he used divine intervention. He intervened and stopped Esau's plan and raised up prophets, man, in the midst of Babylon, right? So it says, and that men of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. The man of sin is the so-called white man, the son of perdition, the son of destruction. The scriptures say Esau is the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction in Romans, the 9th chapter. So they're the sons of perdition. They're the sons of perdition. Why? Because they cause destruction. The scriptures say the Lord is going to destroy those that destroy the earth. So he's being revealed right now. He's being exposed for being the devil that he is. Nobody believes him anymore. The whole world is against America, against the so-called white man, and against the J-ish people, man. Right? It says, who exposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped. And so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And that's what he's done. You know, he's pushed that white supremacy using Catholic, Christianity. God is white. Jesus is right. You know, the angels are white, right? And Christianity is better than your God. You know, you Indians are savages. You blacks, you're savages. You just got to be grateful that we civilized you, right? And now he's to the point where he wants to become a god using this digital system, man. Let's go look at the speeches of Klaus Schwab and Yuval Noah at the World Economic Forum. They're speaking as if they're God. They say AI is going to make us the new gods. Owning the data is what's going to make us new gods. This is what they're talking about, man. Right? He has this God complex. It says, remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things, and now you know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. Yeah, so he's being revealed, you know. It says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Yeah, the mystery of iniquity was working back then as the Romans, which shows you that they were the wicked, right? The so-called white man back then. He was the Greeks, he was the Romans, and he's the modern Romans, which is America, NATO, and the EU, working iniquity in the earth. The earth is given to the hands of the wicked, right? Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So the Most High is the one that allows them to, have their time to do their thing, to fulfill his word, to fulfill prophecy, The blessing that Esau would have said that he would do all these things, man, right? And the scriptures say the Most High, he doesn't, how's it go? The Most High measure the times and he doesn't move or stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. So everybody got to have their time, to rule, all the heathens, right? And Esau, this is his third time ruling. This is his third strike. Because as the Greeks, he didn't get it right. As the Romans, he didn't get it right. And he still didn't get it right to this day. So guess what? It says, verse 8, it says, well, until he be taken out of the way, which we're in the time now. The scriptures say how that beast would continue a little season, which we're in that little season. It's been about 500 years, a little over 500 years that the so-called white man has been ruling. So we in that time, right? It says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. And this is what's happening. He's being revealed. He's being exposed, mainly by the prophets, right? Now you got all over the world, people calling Israel Satan. The people are devils, they're demons. But when we were saying that, the apostles, the elders, when they were saying that, for all these decades, people called them anti-Semitic, how they're racist. But now everybody's saying the same thing due to what's going on in Palestine, what they're doing in Yemen, what they're doing all over the earth, and what they're doing with this current administration, right? So he's being revealed through the spirit of the mouth of the Most High, which is through these words, through the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. The Lord is going to destroy this devil with his brightness by the way of the chariots, the so-called UFOs. They're going to invade the house of the thief and destroy it with missiles, man, and laser beams. 200 million warheads is going to pelt America off the face of the earth, along with the laser beams from the chariots, the so-called UFOs. Even him who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. That's right. So the working of Satan, those miracles on the left hand, right? Going back to Egypt, when Moses went before Pharaoh and his magi's, the magi's of Pharaoh copied Moses' miracles too. But the difference is the right hand was always stronger. So when Moses' rod became a serpent, it swallowed up the rods of the magi's. So shows you that the left hand has power too, but it's just not as strong as the right hand. So they're doing the left hand miracles now and those lying wonders, those signs. Let's see what the word is there for lying wonders. Okay, the word lying is pseudos, which, is going into false. But let's see what wonders is. It says a prodigy, portent, miracle performed by anyone. So a false miracle, right? Which is that technology healing you, so to speak, making you walk again, making you see again, making you super smart, increasing your IQ. You gain wisdom. You shall be as God, right? This is what the serpent told Eve. You shall be as God, knowing good and evil. The Most High, you ain't gonna die. The Most High just jealous, man. He just know you gonna be a God. This is what the serpent, the so-called white man, is deceiving the world with, you know, starting with our people, of course, because that's who he wanted to defile, the Lord's wife. But the whole world, he's making them making them think that they could be gods, right? Digital gods. It says of uncertain affinity, a prodigy or omen, wonder. Okay, so those false miracles, those false wonders, right? It says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So anybody that take this chip is because the Most High rejected them. You know, they don't love the truth. The Most High made them not love the truth. The Most High gave them over to reprobate minds, to go ahead and take this chip, right? Even our own family members, we're gonna have family members that take it. People that we know personally, people that we close with, right? But that's because they were deceived. It says, and for this cause, Yahweh Shema Shah shall send them strong delusions that they should believe a lie. That's right, because you're going to have a lot of people that take this chip as a means of protection, as a means of peace, right? Esau going to have his 15-minute cities, He going to tell people, if you take this, everything is going to go back to normal. You'll be able to watch movies again, You'll be able to go to restaurants, do regular activities, right? Which is why it says that it's going to be as the days of Noah. They were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage. And that's going to be by the way of this chip. So people going to think things are back to normal, But Yahweh Shah is going to come as a thief of the night and destroy them with the missiles. That's a judgment for taking this chip. It tells you that, I think it's Revelation 20. You're going to drink of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture, which is these missiles. It says, and for this cause, Yahweh Shema Shah shall send them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. That's right. So you don't believe the truth. You don't believe the words of the prophets. You're gonna get condemned. You take this chip, you're done. And even if you don't take the mark, but you don't believe these prophecies, you don't believe in the words of the prophets, you're still done. Right? So yeah, that's pretty much it on this lesson. So I'm going to close out and give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shema Shah, Hashem Machakodash, double honors to the apostles of GMS to give us his truth and all his purity, and salutations to all your unconditional throughout the four corners of the earth.